What is going on, people? I am so sorry that I'm late. I will definitely be making it up to you guys today. Lots of things that are going on. Your Texas Longhorns are going on. And guess what, guys? When I started to outline the show this morning, I was like, all right, what the hell are we going to discuss? Well, looks like we have something to discuss right now. Listen, beggars can't be choosers, okay? And Texas will be having an offensive lineman visiting. There's a report that's out there that and Orange Bloods has been able to confirm it. Jeff Ketchum has been able to confirm it that there actually will be an offensive lineman who is visiting the University of Texas. His name is Jamal Merriweather. He played at the University of Georgia. He was a reserve offensive lineman, from what we can see at this moment. And look, again, we are at that point where we start talking about Texas and offensive line, and we just need bodies. Okay, we just need bodies at this moment. And Jamal, here's what we know. This only broke just a couple of minutes ago. Literally, when I was at the drop-off line for my kid, this is when this thing finally happens. Jamal, 6'7", 305 pounds. He played in 6 games last year for Georgia. Played about 44 snaps at left guard, but he's also played some right guard and some tackle. And he's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Hold on, let me put this to catch real quick. Let me send him a quick note. Left guard. Hold on 1 second. So and again, Texas is kind of at that point where, hey, you need somebody. You need bodies, right? And we're just at the point where, you hate to say beggars can't be choosers, but it is what it is. Like, if you're a functional body, and that's kind of where we are as relates to Texas and offensive line recruiting, and we're going to have a huge conversation and much to discuss as relates to that. Look, we're not going to put lipstick on a pig. We're not going to say that Texas is out here getting an all-conference player. We're not going to poo-poo it either. Now we're not going to dog the young man by any stretch of the imagination. Is he a guy that checks all the boxes at this moment? No. But do we have a lot of boxes that need to be checked? Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like Mike Torres is like, if Austin FC starts getting rid of a bunch of folks, like, we got to bring in somebody, right? We just got to bring in somebody. And so that somebody right now who'll be taking a visit is a guy by the name of Jamal Merriweather, if you guys are joining the show a little bit late. We'll talk a little bit more about Jamal, and we'll get a little bit more into everything and kind of get into the subject at hand, because really when I started off thinking about, okay, well, where is everybody? Because the transfer portal at this moment, I think there's always confusion, and you guys are diehards, so y'all might not be as confused, but people get confused, and I see it on Twitter /X all the time. And there's always like a little confusion as to what's going on when people say that the portal's closed, right? The portal is not closed. Okay. But this is only for those who are brand new, or just, you just now trying to get into the portal thing and understanding it. For them, y'all give me a second. The deadline to enter the portal was last Friday. But that was the deadline to enter. The deadline to come out of the portal never ends. It is when somebody wants you. That's all this thing is. It's really about when somebody wants you. The deadline to enter is there. So you don't have to worry about Texas and what's going to happen or anything to that effect. And by the way, I was in HEB yesterday myself. My gosh, man, I went in there my kid was like, my kids, I think I told you my kid's been sick. I was like, I need to get some tissues real quick. And he wants some like little mandarin oranges. He's 7, right? They still like that stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna hop into HEB real quick, pick this thing up and get in and out. It was like 1:30. It was like going to a Sam's Club on a Saturday. I was like, what? Oh, this is happening? And then I hear for some people for doing the curbside stuff, man, they were saying like some people got to wait a day or two to get curbside. Curbside. I'm like, oh my, I ain't going back. Whatever I got is what I got. It just is what it is. But anyway, if y'all haven't gone to HEB, if I was you, I go to Walgreens or CVS for whatever you need. I wouldn't even mess around with HEB. I love HEB. I love HEB, but all of y'all who need to stock up on your stuff, woo! The only thing I don't like about HEB, I don't appreciate that I got to bag my own groceries. Like, where the hell are all the baggers at? Okay. Sidebar. It's either you need to bag it yourself or you just wait for this poor cashier to ring it up and then bag it. Like, I ain't got all that time. Okay, so I'm not saying we're at the tail end as it relates to the transfer portal. I'm not trying to say we're at the tail end. We are, well, actually we kind of are at the tail end of it, but there's still activity and still things that need to be happening, right? So you're going to see names. Chris Bennett. You know what? Chris Bennett might actually have the link. We might need to head down to Fiesta. Down there off of 35. Maybe that's where we need to go. He might know. Chris Bennett might be in the know. What the lines look like at Fiesta? Somebody let us know. So what's going to happen now is your names are going to pop up. Guys are going to still take visits. And these are going to be, how can I respectfully say it? Most of the headliners of the show are signed, sealed, and delivered. What you're going to get now is some of the guys who could be contributors, maybe some guys who can kind of compete for spots, but you're not necessarily finding yourself saying, okay, this is the guy that I feel like is going to be, our starters. Texas has their starters, right? We already know about the Texas and having their start. They've got their guys, and we'll get into that. We'll go through that list in a second, right? So this is going to be right now the best of what's left, okay? And that's no disrespect to any of those dudes who are there, but it's the best of what's left. It's like the top guys, the elite guys that get snatched up right away, and then this is what we're going. This is where there's at. So here's a good part for you. Let's talk about from a Texas perspective. As I checked it yesterday, there aren't any new names for Texas in the transfer portal. So, and heck, y'all don't tell anybody about this, okay? Y'all don't tell anybody about this. I might look at it right now. Let me see. Y'all don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody how Unc may have finessed something. Don't tell nobody about that. Y'all keep this between you and me and all the thousands of people that are watching on YouTube. The last person for Texas that went into the transfer portal was Nick Brooks, and that was January the 15th. There has not been anybody else that's entered the portal. Now, I do know that there was some scuttlebutt and some whispers about, hey, maybe there might be a last minute addition to the portal or something like that. I think that came over the weekend from what I've heard, not from Orange Bloods. It was some other stuff that was out there. And, but there was never a name given as relates to it. So it's always interesting when I hear these things and there are no names, and it's just like, mystery guy might go into the portal. And I'm like, well, who the hell is the mystery guy? And then how the hell you hold yourself accountable if it's just a mystery person and not anybody that we can put a name or the face to so we can hold you accountable for? Because then all you have to say is, well, they had a conversation and they decided to stay back, right? So anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine. But I'm old school like that. I'm just old school like that. Nothing has happened though, and nothing has materialized. And unless there is some sort of crazy compliance error where it took forever to get it in, then I think from a Texas perspective, we can say to ourselves that anyone outgoing is pretty much done. I think we can say that safely from a Texas perspective. I'm in such a good mood today, by the way. I'm in such a good mood. I'm going to tell y'all about it later too. But today has been knock on wood. Today has been a great start of the day. I'll just be honest with you. And I hope you guys are going to have a great day as well. And so now, with that portion of it said, we're all going to be worrying about the guys who are coming in. And so, like, yesterday is a good example of that, where Texas picks up a commitment from MJ Morris, a quarterback. And let's talk about MJ a little bit. MJ is a guy who was able to play in some games last year, and there really was kind of a question as to the Coastal Carolina kid, like what is this going to be? What's this impact going to be, right? And so he played for NC State, he played for Maryland, then he went to Coastal Carolina, and in one season he appeared in 4 games. The stats say that he completed 35 of 60 passes for 304 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and 31 rushing yards. Okay, and then he reportedly started the year as a starter, but then basically got benched. And again, so the question became, okay, well, what's the deal with MJ Morris, right? What does this look like for Texas? I was told that, listen, that he's an arm that they needed in the room. Now, let's be honest. Matthew Caldwell's gone. You had Trey Owens, who transferred out. That left them with KJ Lacey, Diabell. And so when you get Morris coming in here, you add 4 arms to the room. More importantly, you add a veteran to the room as well. So it's either one, you stack the room, you get some talent, you get a guy, you're probably not having to break any real bank as far as NIL is concerned. You have a veteran who's in there, even though he's been at a couple different spots. Now, what does that mean for KJ Lacey? I had to ask about that as well. And I was told that, of course, they're going to tell you this in January, right? That KJ is still expected to compete against Morris, for the backup spot for Arch. I have a different opinion about that. My opinion might be my hot take, but I think y'all will kind of agree with me. If MJ Morris, and please, Morris family, don't get upset with me, but if MJ Morris is the number 2 quarterback to Arch Manning at the beginning of the season, well, something's going wrong. Something's going wrong. And what's going wrong is, it's a conversation that I don't want to have, is what the hell is going on with the development of quarterbacks who are not 5 stars at Texas. We don't want to have that conversation. I don't want to have that conversation. But we would have to have that conversation if that happens. Because you can say Quinn Ewers, fine. Arch Manning, fine. But then we got to have conversations about everybody else. Look, Malik Murphy, he decides to transfer out because he wants to play. Okay, not a problem. But then Trey Owens becomes that kind of, I don't know what happened here. Because Trey Owens was that number 2 guy coming out of the spring of last year. Like, he was supposed to be the backup. And they talked really highly of Trey as the backup. And then what had happened was they decided they're going to sign Matthew Caldwell. You're like, okay, what's this about? So again, you're just thinking, another arm. The same thing I'm talking about Morris, right? Another arm. You need guys, you need bodies, like rah, woo, woo, right? So that's what you're talking to yourself, and that's what you're thinking, right? And then he slips to KJ surpasses Trey on the depth chart. And by the time we're in the mid-season, Trey's not even going to the away games anymore. And it was like, at that point, it's all she wrote. We already knew what time it is, right? We already knew what time it is. And so, and I see a super chat, Buck Wild, and we'll get into all that. Give me 1 second on that, Buck Wild. But I could be able to answer that. I think there's a lot of speculation. Actually, let me do this. Buck Wild, Kobe Black didn't leave. That was a random thing. Kobe Black never put his name in the portal. There's a lot of guys, I'll be honest with you, that people were saying hold on. Yeah, there was a lot of guys that people saying they put their name in the portal, that they took their name out of the portal. That never happened. Kobe Black's name never appeared in the portal. Now, there may have been discussions behind the scenes about him potentially going in the portal, but that actually never happened. And there's a lot of reports, because not everyone has access to the portal. They believe that a guy says, the agent, whoever, they're like, oh, this guy's going in the portal. But it didn't happen. Kobe Black's on the team. You don't have that word. So by the end of the season, Trey Owens is not traveling with the team, and we all realize, okay, well, Trey Owens is out. All right, that's just that, and of course he goes and he transfers out. But that can't happen with KJ Lacey, though, because if we are having a conversation towards the end of the middle of that season, this upcoming season, which is way too long away, by the way. I can't believe we're in January. We gotta wait until August. That's crazy, right? Then something is wrong. Something's wrong. Something has gone wrong. Because at some point, the guys who you recruit, they have to develop to become the number 2 and then to become the starters at the quarterback position. Because if not, then you got to go portal every year. And then you probably start losing the high school kids who are going to, who are coming in. Now, look, there are teams out there that say to themselves, we're going to go out there and get a transfer portal quarterback. And all 4 teams that were in the semifinals, they had transfer portal quarterbacks, right? So we understand that people go out there and do that, but you got to do that every single year. You got to be consistent with that every single year, right? And you also have to have backups that know, all right, well, I probably ain't going to play. And I think the danger as relates to that particular component of it, as relates to MJ Morris and as relates to KJ Lacey, is that a couple of things. 2027, I know we haven't got to 2026, right? We don't know what 2026 may look like. Texas may look like world beaters, right? They may just go undefeated, right? All right. And, from my mouth to God's ears, right? But 2027, realistically, when we look at it, Texas is going to lose a lot of studs off this team. You look at the receivers who are probably going to get drafted. Arch is probably gone. Left tackle is going to be gone. Colin Simmons is going to be gone. Like there's a lot of guys who are going to be going off this team after 2026 and 2027. On paper, looks like it's going to be kind of a rebuild. KJ Lacey has to be ready to take the reins for 2027, because if he's not, then you have to go into the portal. You find yourself in that weird situation where you're like the Oregons of the world, where you're just going to have to go and find a starter. You're going to have to pay a boatload of money for that person as well. So that's why when I say the MJ Morris thing, it's cool. I come in, compete, all that. But if KJ Lacey ain't that dude, and he's not the number 2 guy, and Diabella ain't number 3, and that's where we're at, I don't love that for Texas. I don't love that for the future of the quarterback room, right? And so, and Sark likes to have experience. And the Matthew Caldwell thing, it ends up being an interesting kind of dip your toe in the water kind of thing, because there were those couple of times last season where Matthew Caldwell had to come in and make some plays, and he did. And Now, look, could a young guy have done that? Potentially. We'll never know. But we know that an older guy, a veteran guy, was able to do that. And we hear now in sports, there is now this push to have these veterans on your team with the understanding that, hey, if we got a guy who's 20, 21 years old, 22 years old, who's been through the fires, that may be better off than somebody who is not, right? So we hear the things. I understand that Sark is bringing in a veteran, and that's cool, no problem there. But at the end of the day, for me, I think KJ has to be the number 2, and I'm sure the Lacey family would absolutely agree with me on that, right? So, yeah. The interesting part now is, as we kind of start talking about the portal, and again, if you're kind of joining the show a little bit late, there's a offensive lineman by the name of Jamal Merriweather, who was in Georgia. He's a backup. He's supposed to be visiting Texas today. I am sure if you're Texas, he's a priority. He's a must get at this point. You got to get what you can. And so he's definitely someone that they're looking at. And look, he is important. We haven't had, at least I haven't had, a definitive Kyle Flood conversation yet. A lot of people are having it. I've been kind of holding out on it. And I'm somewhat torn as relates to the conversation. And look, because I'm torn, I'm going to put a mental note here, and I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to write it down so I could put Jay Bevo's stuff on the screen. And for a 20 spot, I'll definitely interrupt the show. You drop 20, and today's payday, y'all. So, y'all can go out here and drop 20s all y'all want to. And put in drop that while you also dropping some money in your while you do that. Okay, so he asks, have you heard anything about Sark leaving with Arch after the season? No, I have not heard that. I have not heard that. I have not heard that at all. I think it would be too early for that conversation. I can see where your head's at. Here's the problem with Sark going to the NFL. You get $10 million, $11 million a year. That's a lot of money to leave behind, because that's more than what most NFL coaches are making. So when you got a package that is giving you a guaranteed, whatever that number is, 70 million, whatever the number ends up being, it's hard to walk away from that. It's hard to walk away from the money, man. It's just hard to walk away. And so I get what the thought process is. All right, well, he would leave with, go out on a high note, so on and so forth. And look, if Texas wins a national title, and he feels like I have accomplished what I want to accomplish at Texas and I want to move on, so be it. Like, I would understand that. But he also got to walk away from the money. Now, you could try to build a dynasty, and you could just say it like, I'm the next Saban, or I am Kirby Smart, or something to that effect. But I just don't know too many people that walk away from a lot of money. just be honest with you, right? I mean, you may not like your job at this moment, right? You may not like it, but if you are getting paid a good amount of money, you'll put up with some stuff, right? It just is what it is, right? How many people stay in marriages because they don't want to walk away and be like, I don't want to split my money in half. I don't want to do half the house, half my bank account, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to pay child support, like all that. And people just stay, right? So people stay with the money, right? So I haven't heard that. And look, if he really wanted to go to the NFL, there's so many openings right now. I feel like if he's not jumping in for these openings, and there was a ton of them, if he's not jumping in for that, I'm just not quite sure when it's going to happen. All right, so I'm torn on the Kyle Flood conversation, though, because over the past few years, from a recruiting standpoint, we considered Kyle Flood to be really, really elite. And I mean, it's easy to say it's not about the money when it's not yours. And by the way, who's to say Buck Wild, just out of respectfully, I think that's a story you're telling yourself. He's never said, I want to win a national championship and then a Super Bowl as a head coach. That's never been uttered. And then that would again show Buck Wild that the conversation is too early, because you can't talk about him winning a national title when the team didn't make the playoffs. So again, that's way too early for the conversation, Buck Wild. So and by the way, if it's not about the money, he sure the hell wouldn't have taken an extension after last season. Okay, so money does count. Kyle Flood, though, he's catching strays. I understand why, but it's like I don't know how to have the Kyle Flood conversation, because am I living off the past, or am I living off the now? If I'm living off the past, then, and I might be, listen, we're talking this out, and I might be, just be quite honest with you. I'm willing to admit I might be wrong. There's a few women who I dated in the past who are hearing this, and that's brand new information to them. I can occasionally. I can, y'all. I can occasionally. Maybe not when I'm dating you or married to you, but outside of that, I can. We know that he was able to, have guys who got drafted. We've talked about what was it, Christian Clark, I believe it was. No, it wasn't Christian Clark. It was Christian Jones, excuse me, the offensive lineman that he developed. We talked about Kelvin Banks before, right? So we know that there's some history there. But if I'm going off the now, last year was a horrible year for the offensive line, just from an overall collective standpoint. And there was clearly an evaluation process that was missed, because they thought that offensive line was good enough to compete and win matches and be the best version of themselves. And we quickly realized that wasn't the case. Sure, they were able to compete, but we all looked at it at times like, man. Ugh. And so we looked at the performance and said that, well, that wasn't good enough. And then we went into this offseason saying, man, the thing that Texas has to get is offensive linemen. And that really didn't happen to the degree that we thought it would. And we're sitting here, and again, no disrespect intended to Jamal Merriweather, but we're sitting here trying to talk ourselves into, all right, well, maybe they could bring this guy in and he could compete and he could do all these things, so on and so forth. And they're like, yeah, but there were bigger fish that were out there, right? There were bigger fish that were out there. And so when I have this conversation as relates to Kyle Flood, I don't know if I'm stuck in the past of what he did previously and not admitting where we are now. But if I start saying, honestly, okay, well, let's just start from where we are now, then it's not good. And I don't know how much of that I have to put on Flood. I mean, it's a collective, right? Is it Flood? Is it Sark? Is it Brandon Harris? Like, everybody has a part in it to some degree, right? But it's not Flood's job to recruit, negotiate, all those kind of things, right? So we know overall, and I don't know how that pie is split. Overall, I hate to say offensive line in the transfer portal has been a failure, because that's harsh. But if I don't want to be harsh, then pick another adjective. It's pretty damn close to that, right? Or you could say disappointing. Let's say disappointing. Failure is a trigger word. People would get triggered if I say failure. So let's say it's disappointing. And Texas is going to find itself trying to just get guys. So when we have the Kyle Flood conversation, I don't know. Maybe I'm hesitant because maybe he's a nice guy. But I do know this. This will be probably one of the biggest off seasons of scrutiny that Kyle Flood's ever had in his career. I don't think he's now. Grant, he was a head coach, so I take it back. I take it back. He was a head coach previously. He's had worse than this. He's had way worse than this. But I will say at Texas, because look, man, this is what it says, not show friends, it's show business. And that you're banking on now is going to be all about development. You didn't bring in the killers. You didn't bring in the killers that you brought out in the other positions. And so now you're going to have to develop those guys. Develop them from now until this to see, and then and let that be. It wasn't your plan, but it's going to have to be your pivot. And if Kyle Flood, this is an overreaction Friday. If Kyle Flood doesn't get this unit to a plus level consistently, knowing that you got Ohio State in week 2, if this unit ain't rocking and this unit ain't ready to roll, I mean, this will be the last year we talk about Kyle Flood at Texas. It just is what it is. I don't know nobody get mad at me. I don't want nobody from UT texting me or telling me after the show. It is what it is. Sark ain't gonna put up with that. He's just not. He's not. He'll put up with it until he's tired of putting up with it. That's just how he rolls. Sark is one of those guys that he cool. He can be cool, but listen, you asked that the running backs coach Chad Scott what happens when your guys don't produce. He ain't messing around with that. You see what happened with Andre Coleman. He inherited Andre Coleman. No one took him 1 year to say, to hell with this. I'm not dealing with this, right? And so he had Dwayne Akina on his staff. Dwayne Akina. And all it took him 1 year was like, man, I'm good on that. I know y'all talked a lot about this DBU thing, and that was cool in the past. I ain't doing this no more. So that's how I can say I know Kyle Flood. He's known Kyle Flood for years, and they may be cool, but at the end of the day, this unit is going to have to perform, and it's going to have to perform on levels that are way better and way stronger than we've seen previously. I just want to let you know one more thing. I'll probably do some more shows on this next week, but winter conditioning, just kind of a program. I know winter conditioning will start early in February. I got a lot more that I want to discuss as relates to the winter conditioning and what that's going to look like. I'm going to save that for next week. Golly, Rodolfo, you just say that about Coleman because he probably recruited Jordan Whittington. Y'all, be safe this weekend. I know that that the weather's going to be kind of crazy. Y'all are grown. I ain't got to give y'all no PSAs, but be safe and heed the warnings and do all the things that you need to do. And I hope everybody has a good weekend and a safe weekend, and hopefully everybody gets power and all those kind of things. So take your precautions and then say your prayers, and let's hope for the best for everybody out there. Keep your animals safe, and hell, if you're an animal lover, you might want to just crack your garage door open just a little bit, just to let some of those animals that need. I know a couple people did this. They cracked the garage door open. If an animal just needed shelter, then they could just hang in there for a little bit. Now, I don't know how you get rid of them. Now, I can't say Unc's doing that. But if you one of them compassionate people, you're like, you know what? I don't mind if a squirrel has a place to stay. I don't know how you get rid of the squirrel, but maybe just open it and just leave at some point. I don't know. Any case, be safe out there. Enjoy yourself. Remember, I always say, live each day like it's your last, because one day it will be. So definitely go out there and do something special for yourself. And man, I'm doing so good, man. I saw silver hit over $100 per ounce today. I'm excited. I ain't telling you what to do, but I'm just telling you that silver thing is taking off. I'm really excited about that. So y'all can do your own research. Y'all go out, have a fantastic weekend. Be safe. All goes well. Uncle be here on Monday Let's see what happens. Stay tuned to the news.